In this demonstration, we're going to set up a live stream of data out of the CluedIn platform to a specific target. In this particular case, we're just going to do it to a SQL Server database so it's easy to track. Let's start by getting data into the CluedIn platform. So I'm going to drag and drop a particular file. Let's take a list of companies. I'm going to put it under a folder called data, and let's go look at that file. We can see we have 10 records here, and we're going to map this data, and we're going to create a new concept called a company. Look at icon that's appropriate. Let's try this here. And we're going to create our vocabulary as well. With the auto mapping, we can see that it's automatically detected the ID as a unique key, but it's also detected the person ID as a unique key as well. And although that is strictly true, we're not wanting it to be a unique key of a company. In fact, it looks like it's a reference to a person instead. So let's just remove this and make sure that the ID is the only column that we have represented here. With that in mind, let's process these records into the platform. In a couple of seconds, we should have our records all connected successfully. And as the data gets processed into the CluedIn platform, we'll then see it in our search results over here as well. So there's our companies. Let's head over to the consumption endpoint of the platform, and we're going to set up what's called an export target. This is a place of where we can exit data out of CluedIn once it's been processed through the platform. In this case, we only have the SQL Server connected to installed, but you'll notice that when you go to your list, it's pre-installed with a lot more connectors. I'm going to hook this up to a database that I have running. In this case, I'm going to put in my username and passwords. So let's go here, and we can see here, and I'm wanting to connect it to this database here. So I've got a little database viewer that I have available here. I'm just going to put that in as the name and test the connection. You can see that the connection was successful. So let's add this as a possible target to be able to send data to. Now we need to set up a stream. Think of this as a reaction or triggers to where we're wanting to send the data to. We're going to create a stream and we're going to call it companies. We need to fill in a little bit of information here. First of all, we need to tell the stream what particular data are we wanting to share. In this case, there's multiple different ways to get to the data that we're after, but I'm just going to choose where the type of data equals this company type that we just created on the fly before. The next thing we need to do is specify the target of where this data will be going. We'll choose our SQL Server database that we set up as an export target before. We need to set a name of the table this will be going to. Let's call it companies. Then we need to specify what type of mode we're going to specify on how to share this data. Currently, there are two available, a synchronized stream and an event log stream. A synchronized stream will effectively have in the SQL database whatever is in the MDM system. The event log will act more like a change data capture, where every time I make a change to data in the MDM system, it'll write out a new record into the database and not replace anything in the existing data. Let's choose synchronization. Finally, we need to specify what types of properties we're actually wanting to project out to that target. In this case, I'm going to project out the ID, the name, and the website. Let's add those columns and save. Now, before we actually activate the stream, we can take a look at the actual data that's going to be shared with that target. If we head over to our SQL Server database and refresh our tables, we should see that there's a template that's been constructed in this table to accept that data. Let's take a look at the columns, and we can see besides some standard metadata, we have our ID, we have our name, and we have our website field as well. Let's start up the stream. Using the monitoring tab, we can get real-time insights into how the data is performing. We get different metrics to show how fast. We also get exceptions, if the database was to be down, or if data was not able to easily insert into that target, we would be made aware with these different metrics. Let's head over to our SQL Server database. Let's head to our training and our companies table. You'll see that it's also created a table called companies codes. This is a joined table to the companies that's automatically created that contains the index of all the unique keys that represent these companies. So let's open our table, and we can see that our records have been streamed out to this target database. Let's head back and let's make a change to some of the data. So let's take something like Michael Hill. We go to properties and we can see some information on that data here. We can also see that the name of the company here is Michael Hill. If we were to just make a change here and change this to something else, we would see that the record is saved. The system, CluedIn system, is updated. If we head back to our database and refresh the page, we can see that Michael Hill has changed to something else. So you can see it's doing an in-place replacement of that data. Let's head back and let's set up another stream. In this case, we're going to use the event streaming instead. Company event streaming. We're going to add a similar filter where the type of data equals to a company. We're going to specify the same export target, but in this case, we're going to call it company events. We're going to set it as an event log, and we're going to stream out the same data. Take the ID, the name, and the website. Let's save. You can see we're sending the same data out, and let's activate this. We take a look now at our SQL databases and refresh. You'll see that my company events is there, but in addition to the default columns, we also see some extra columns here: the timestamp, the change type, and the correlation ID. And all of these are needed to be able to fulfill the kind of use cases that need event streaming. So in a couple of moments, we're going to see our data come in to these tables. You can see that the stream job is starting up, and it's going to send the data over once that job has started to begin. Remember that we can always go back and take a look at our monitoring. And we're just waiting for that job to kick in, and then the data will start to send. If we go over here, we can start to see the dot that's showing on our screens, which means anytime now we should see our events coming over into the SQL database. And there you go. You can see that the events have a change type. So this not only will include all the history of the data, but all the changes that are done as well.